We're here in Scottsdale, Arizona to test the 2014 Corvette Stingray. Now if you're wondering why we chose Scottsdale to drive the Vette, very simple. There's more luxury cars in this city than any other city in Arizona. Right across the street, we've got the new Lexus dealer that's being built. The new Mercedes-Benz dealer that was just built. And over here, the Maserati, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Porsche, Land Rover. Well, you get the idea. If you want to buy a nice car for cruising on Saturday night, this is the place. I don't think there's too many of these luxury cars that can outperform this Corvette. Certainly not for the money. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then with those fancy cars, they come to Old Town Scottsdale, hit the restaurant and bar scene. It's not very crowded right now, but the snap of the fingers, we can fast forward tonight and solve that problem. Like so. Of course, it's a little more noisy at night. Now we're done with the tourism. We can take a look at the car in detail. Here's the view from the rear. And I think it's pretty good looking from the side as well. Front shot. And one more. Here you go. Under the hood is a Chevy small block V8 putting out 450 horsepower, rated at 17 to 29 miles per gallon. It was 60 years ago. Some GM people in the back room got a slide rule and some paper and designed their small block V8. I guess nobody would have guessed that 6 decades from now this would evolve into one of the best small block engines on the planet. This small block is economical to build and run, very powerful, reliable, and durable, and should it ever wear out, it's cheap to replace. The last cost I saw for a new in the crate was around $3,800. You can't even do a valve job on some of the exotics for that. Overall, probably the best small block V8 on the planet. And please don't send me any emails telling me how the European overhead cam engines are better. They might be more sophisticated and powerful, but when it comes to reliability, durability, and economics, they fall quite short, trust me. If you like to shit for yourself, the 7-speed manual transmission is a pretty slick unit. You'll like it. But keep in mind, this engine puts out gobs of torque. So if you go for the 6-speed automatic with paddle shifters, I don't think you'll be sacrificing much performance. Your choice. Nice gearbox either way. Now Chevrolet redid the interior of the Corvette exactly the way it should have been done a long time ago. All the controls are easy to reach, simple to use. Very well done. The biggest improvement regarded the seats. Past Corvettes had crappy seats. The pair cost like $10 to build. If you wanted to coat them in leather for $1,000 more, or power up and down for $1,000 more, then you had a $2,000 pair of cheap crappy seats. These have been completely redone, and I like them quite well. Great for long trips. 2 odd features you might want to get used to. The inside door latches are electric. So if you short out, you might have to call 911. I fell in my car and I can't get up. Fortunately, in a convertible, you can just jump out. One tiny little design flaw is right here, the sharp edge. Good for looks, but this is where your kneecap's going to go every time you get in if you're not careful. I busted my leg 4 times on this. It'd been nice if they had rounded it off, but they didn't, so you're just going to have to be careful when you get in. And bear in mind, I'm a medium-sized person, 5'9", under 200 pounds. You got long legs or kind of heavy, you're really going to have a problem here. Look out for this when you go for a test drive. Storage space is limited here. You have a middle console, but it's only a few inches deep. Enough for a pair of sunglasses on the left and a flashlight on the right. It's hard to see in the glove box because I got a lot of shadows here, but trust me, there's not much room in there. Better take the owner's manual out. Put the owner's manual in the door jab here. give you a lot more room in the box. Yes, we do have a trunk, but I guess once you put some golf clubs in there or small stuff like I've got, you pretty much filled it up. Of course, there's no spare tire or running run flats. Now let's say you're a government employee, you carry a badge, a gun, and you need to store it somewhere in the vehicle when you're leaving. Now with the limited storage capability of the Corvette, that could be a problem except for the secret compartment here. Press the screen, the radio navigation display goes down. Now you can put your badge, your government ID, your business cell phone, and your service weapon. Locks up just like that. And you need to retrieve it in a hurry. It's right there. I think James Bond would be proud.
You must be joking.
If you order the Corvette the way you're supposed to, you'll have this little knob here by the shifter. It gives you weather mode, eco mode, touring mode, which means soft shocks and low exhaust sound. You got the aggressive sport mode, which livens things up a bit, and then the track mode that really stiffens up the shocks and opens up the baffles and the exhaust so people will hear you coming. So with the cops, so you got to be careful. Very nice setup. Now frankly, I like to call this new 2014 model a debugged version because they've taken all the faults of previous models and gone all out and fixed everything. Unfortunately, there are some whiners out there that have been complaining about this new Corvette, and some of the stuff they're bitching about is just stupid. We'll take a couple look at these real quick. Okay, complaint number one. They didn't offer the mid-engine Corvette they've been promising all these decades. Who cares? Why would you expect GM to spend billions of dollars to design a car from the ground up with more bugs when you just refine an existing model? Take a cue from the Porsche 911 and the BMW 3 Series. Refinement instead of replacement. Chevrolet did what they should have. Refined the Corvette, and they did a very good job. So forget about the mid-engine Vette. It's not coming. Get over it. Okay, another complaint voiced in the media is that the Corvette did not come with the modern dual-clutch automatic transmission. Again, who cares? Look, first of all, there's no dual-clutch automatic transmission that can fit in the Corvette and handle the torque. You would have to design a gearbox from the ground up. More expense, no improvement in performance. This engine has more than enough torque to work with a 6-speed automatic the way it is. And of course you have the 7-speed manual. So why worry about a 7-speed dual clutch automatic? Forget about that too. Another whining point we've heard is that Corvette ditched the traditional round headlights for these rectangular ones. I think this looks a lot better. A lot of people don't know that the main reason the Corvette used those round bulbs all those years is because they were stock travel trailer light bulbs that were cheap to take off the shelf and buy. Is that what you want on your new redesigned modern Vette? I don't think so. These rectangular LEDs look nice and the rear end looks nice. And hard as it is to believe, there was actually somebody who wrote a letter to the editor complaining about Chevrolet improving the seats, saying why didn't they take the money and improve it with something else, like a dual clutch automatic transmission. Oh please. Now in the touring mode, this exhaust is fairly quiet, but you toss it in the sport or track mode, it becomes a wee bit louder, and definitely worth the extra $1,200 option. Music to my ears. Most of these whiners I've met are just minimum wage flunkies who wouldn't buy a Corvette if their life depended on it. So let's quit listening to what they say, because this is a very, very improved car, and there's not a European manufacturer on the planet that can duplicate this for less than 100 grand. Okay, enough tourism and looking. Time to do a little driving. Give the Corvette a good workout. We left Scottsdale, went north to Skull Valley, Arizona. There's not much out here, aside from the winding roads. Unless you're Mormon. They got the Mormon church out here. Actually the only building within 1,000,000 miles of here. So off we go. If you want a car that's capable of climbing steep mountain grades with tight curves, the Corvette certainly fits the bill. The engine's never strained, and the cornerability is excellent. Terrific. I just washed the car and I got mud all over it. Great. One of the problems of having a convertible is cats like to sit on your top. Look at these cat hairs. Ugh. Yuck. Now if I put the top down, they're going to get in the car. Oh, there's the culprit over there. You! Look what you did to my car. Yeah, you. You don't even live here. Get out of here. Get. No. What are you doing on the car again? It's 2 in the morning. You should be out in garbage cans or something. Get off the car. Oh, look at all these hairs. Oh, for crying out loud. Go away. Cats. The run flat tires on the Corvette have stiff sidewalls, which can cause bouncing around on rough pavement. And if you take the car from touring mode to track mode, those magnetic shocks stiffen up, causing even more bouncing around. Fortunately, I haven't had too many problems because these highways are rather smooth. But on the street, I suggest keeping off the track mode if you're running on anything but ultra smooth pavement, in which the Corvette operates at its best. That's a long drop. Good thing we stay on the road. We're wrapping up a week's worth of driving. If you're curious about the fuel consumption figures, with the cruise control set at 75 miles per hour, I got 27. Going a little bit faster and doing a lot of passing, it dropped to 26. And for the maximum mileage, I set the cruise at 65 and got just under 28 miles per gallon. If you got the manual transmission, you can't go lower than 65 miles per hour in 7th gear. It lugs the engine. So if you want to drive at 55 miles per hour, you got to drop it down to 6th gear. And then you're doing the same 1400 RPM you were doing in 7th gear at 70 miles per hour. The end result, the mileage wasn't much different. The Corvette does have one design flaw. It has to do with this key fob. Now basically it looks good. You have all the electronic controls. If there's an emergency, the battery goes dead, you have a manual key. Unfortunately, I went hiking one night, had this around my neck, and when I came back to my car, this is what was hanging around my neck. This had disappeared. And considering it was getting dark, I have no cell phone service, and I'm 125 miles from home, and the snakes are coming out. Not good. Fortunately, I found it down the road a bit, but you have to be careful with this. Comes off very easily, and this is very, very expensive to replace. I suggest you get some copies. The base price of a Corvette Coupe was around $52,000. The convertible starts at $58,000. This was loaded up with all the goodies, so it's just about $70,000. It's still a great deal for basically what is the best Corvette ever made. A very, very nice car. This is the local Saturday night car show at the Scottsdale Pavilion. And this is the Corvette row, where I'm going to park my car. Hey, do you think my Vette will get first place?
Too dirty.
It's got a California plate. They might burn it.
Probably piss on it.
Yeah, pee on it. So what do you think, man? Edsel convertible or the Corvette convertible?
I think I'll take the Edsel.
Yeah, you wash your clothes in that air cleaner.
It's more practical.
Yeah. Fashion queen. A real Stingray. Vette. At last, my Vette. Let's see if they swiped anything on my console. We're going to take a look at the Chevy Camaro Super Sport. This is the convertible version. The Chevy small block V8 is one of the best power plants on the planet. Economical to build, very reliable, very durable. In the SS Camaro, we get a 6.2 liter V8 small block, putting out 426 horsepower. Gas mileage is rated at 16 to 24 with a 6-speed manual. The automatic is rated at 25 on the highway. The SS package also includes the Brembo 4-wheel disc brakes. Very large, very effective. Now, some people are of the opinion that the 6-speed manual transmission is the hot setup. It's not. Actually, the strong engine works better with the 6-speed automatic. The automatic car is faster, gets better gas mileage, and easier to live with. Which means, of course, the 6-speed manual car is slower, not as economical, and not very fun to live with. Now, if you're buying this Camaro as a weekend play toy just to thrash around on a Friday night, yeah, the 6-speed manual is fun to play with, but for long-term daily driving, the automatic is still the way to go. Now, GM did do some cost cutting on the interior. A lot of the plastics are kind of cheap. However, on the good news, they used the money they saved to put some nice engines under the hood. The base V6, which comes out of a Cadillac, and this nice V8. So overall, I'm not complaining. And on the positive side, most of the instruments and switches are easy to read and use. Now down here we have 4 gauges. The oil pressure gauge is blocked by the climate control button. But other than that, there's no complaints. The back seat room is okay for medium-sized people. That is, unless the seats are pushed back all the way, then you have no room for your legs. Great for little kids and small storage and pets. Maybe not so much for full-size adults on a long trip. Brakes work pretty nice, don't they? There are 2 must-have options. Number 1, $895 for this fine dual exhaust system. Sounds really good. I couldn't live without that. And $470 for the black stripes. Hey, you gotta have the stripes. Gotta have. Now, the visibility on the Camaro is quite limited. You've got tiny little slots for side windows. A tiny little slot for the rear window. Now driving at night it gets worse because of the auto dimming mirror system. It blacks out the mirror here, blacks out the mirror here, and you cannot see what you're doing when you're changing lanes, and there's no disconnect switch. Ordinarily I'd put a piece of tape on the sensor hole, which is up here. Unfortunately the sensor hole is down here with the OnStar buttons. So to turn off the auto dimming mirror, you just put a piece of tape.
OnStar ready.
No, I don't want OnStar. You can still use OnStar, but the tape has to go here to cut the system
My
off.
number, your OnStar hands-free calling number is. Thank you.
I don't care.
Goodbye.
Shut up. The Super Sport is a nice freeway cruiser. Getting gas mileage in the low 20s. Very smooth ride. Lots of passing power too. The base Camaro with the standard V6 engine is a good deal for around $24,000, but for some people only a small block Chevy V8 will do, and the SS certainly delivers. But be advised, on the Super Sport, if you get the convertible, the price can go up to $46,000 like this one did.